Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Physio Practice Success Show. My name is Chaz Rachi and I'm from physiomarketing.co. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the 5 reasons why physio practice owners struggle with their online marketing. So reason number 1 is that the practice has a poor website. Now, there are several components to this, but there are 3 main ones that I want to focus on today when it comes to a poor website. Number 1 is that it's outdated. And what I mean by this is that it's not up to par with other well-designed websites. Now, in the last, say, 2 or 3 years, especially since, the pandemic and things like that, a lot of businesses, everyday mom and dads who are building businesses because they've had to go online, they've had to make sure that they build powerful, effective websites. And there's now more effective and better designed websites than there ever has been before. But unfortunately, what this means is for a lot of physio practices who don't tend to focus on their website as much, it has become outdated throughout this time. So it's a very, very important thing to get a hold of, correct it moving forward, because if you don't, you will end up competing pretty poorly against other well-designed websites. So there's a lot of other websites or areas in the internet that are trying to hack or get people's attention. All right, in this busy, noisy world of trying to grab people's attentions, websites is a very good way to do that. And if you don't design your website in such a way that it captivates someone's attention once they're there, the chances of you losing them is much, much higher. So you need to get that updated into a website that is a bit more friendly in terms of keeping them on the website, but getting them to do the action that you want them to, more importantly. Right? Second part of it is a slow website. Right? Now, with so many things trying to grab attention around us, like I'm not talking about just your competition, like the other local physio practices. I'm talking about Netflix, those crazy YouTube videos, these commercials, whatever it is that is out there that gives your visitors, whoever's coming to your website, a chance to click out of your website and go into those attention hacking areas. So you need to make sure that you are competing with not only your local competitors, but also those attention hackers as well. So having a slow website really tests somebody's attention span. Right, they say now the average human mind has an attention span less than a goldfish, and that is very true, unfortunately. But that's the new world that we're living in. But because of that, your website really needs to be polished so that it hits home the message you're trying to get across very, very quickly. And to do that, you need to have a fast website. So if it's not updated, if it's not upgraded from even a year back, 2 years back, and if it's slower than what it should be, you're going to lose your visitors because the website is not going to cater to their attention span. That's number 2. Number 3 is responsiveness. Right? Now what I mean by this is you need to make sure that your website is not only looks good and performs well in just say desktop, but it works well in mobile, most importantly. Right? A lot of people are more and more migrating from a desktop environment where they're looking at websites, they are doing it on their mobile phone. So it's very, very important that when it comes to designing your website and making sure it works well, it not only works on your desktop, but also, and especially more importantly, in mobiles as well. Right? But don't forget tablets, right? iPads, all that kind of thing. It's very important to make sure that you get your website doing really well on all of those devices. That's very, very important. So that's reason number 1 why physio practices struggle with their online marketing, a poor website. What's reason number 2? That is a lack of marketing knowledge. Now, if you're a practice owner like me coming out of uni, you really did not learn anything about how to market your physio practice. And that is to a certain extent still true today, right? So as a result of this, when you come out of uni or when you're trying to open up your practice, you just don't know what works. So there's a general overwhelm. I know that I felt this when I tried to get my practices be seen and get new patients into my practice, you just don't know what's going to work. So there's so many options out there as to what can work, and as a result of that, you might suffer from what they call analysis paralysis, right? So general overwhelm of what works. So because of that, you need to be really clear on where your potential new patients are hanging out, wherever in the world, especially online, and make sure that you are present there. And there's only a very few channels that you can do that. I'll cover that a bit later on. All right. Second reason of the lack of marketing knowledge is a lot of practices still, they're too reliant on older and traditional methods of marketing. All right. For example, printed versions of marketing like leaflets and paper, being the physio for sporting clubs, helping out on weekends, things like that, having an ad in schools, maybe another organization. They're very traditional methods. I'm not saying that they don't work, but if you really think about it, it's great to be present on them, but you've got to ask yourself, is your ideal new patient, new customer, right? Are they hanging out here, right? Firstly, if it's yes, great. Then rely on this and make sure you keep going forward with these methods. But if they're not, right, you really need to ask yourself, well, firstly, is it going to work for me? And if it's not, what are the other areas where the new patients are hanging out in where I need to be more present in? It's very, very important. Which leads me to my next point. So not having enough focus on being in front of on-demand platforms, right? Now, I covered this earlier. The amount of time that people have, within themselves to do anything is becoming less and less and less. Only because, like I mentioned before, there are so many things pulling their attention in so many different ways, right? They need answers very, very quickly. And one of the places where your new patients will be looking answers for you and looking for you are search platforms, Google, Bing, and Yahoo. All right. So you really need to make sure that you are very, very present and you're very visible on those platforms. Now, one of the common mistakes a lot of practice owners make is being present not just in the search results, but also in the maps as well. But more importantly, in the maps, all right? Because if you don't know what that is, a map pack is when you type in, for example, physio near me, it'll come up in Google, it'll come up with a map pack. It'll have a little map at the top and all the physio practices underneath. You want to make sure that you're there, number one, on that map pack, all right? Once again, with so many things going on in your new patients, new prospects' minds, you want to make it really simple and easy for them to find and see you. So not only that you're visible and present in Google, Bing, and Yahoo, but you have to be really present and high up in maps as well. Okay? And the other thing is, if these organic methods of appearing on Google and Bing and Yahoo and Maps, they're not really working for you right now because organic takes a little while. You really need to bypass that and get yourself present on Google Ads. All right. If someone's doing a search online for a physio near you, you want to make sure that you are at the top. And a very, very quick way and an effective way to get yourself number one on that list is doing paid advertising. Right, so if you're not doing that, really consider getting yourself in the Google Ads to make sure you're appearing as high as possible. Number one, ideally. All right, this is very, very important. All right, so that's reason number two as to why physio practice owners struggle with their online marketing. All right, number three is poor reputation. Now, this is a massive, massive topic, especially for physio practice owners. Again, if you are anything like me, when you're coming out of uni or when you're running a business, I tend not to be so business savvy. I had to learn these things, all right? And this particular point, the poor reputation, is relevant now more than ever. Because by 2025, Australia is scheduled to hit 10,000 physio businesses. That is quite an increase. At the moment, I think they're about 7,500 according to Ibis World. You can go check it out on their website. But by 2025, 10,000 physio businesses are going to be registered here in Australia, right? So this means that for the new patients that are searching for you, there's going to be a massive amount of choice, right? And as you know, whenever you're looking for a product or a service, one of the things that you would do is look for the reviews, right? How reputable is this product or service before I buy it? And that is going to be more important moving forward. Very, very, very important. Okay? So because that online reputation and trust is more important than ever, and if you're not on the front foot of this right now, before this sea of increased number of physio business come to Australia, this is something that you really need to prioritize, because it's going to get harder and harder if you move forward if you don't have this in play. All right. So as I mentioned, new patients are constantly comparing online reviews, and I mean not just in Google, Facebook as well. Right. So Google and Facebook, you need to have as many 5 and 4-star reviews. Obviously, 5 stars more desirable. You need to have more 5-star reviews as possible on Google and Facebook. But the biggest thing that I see physio practices don't have, practice owners, is that they don't really have a system to capture these reviews. Right? This is something that we help with our clients in a in a big way. We have a system to capture reviews from all of their patients, because from what we found out, a lot of practice owners tend to shy away from this because of the work that is required, right? Asking your patient to get a review, responding to the review, it takes a lot of manual work, all right? So what we do for our clients is we take that stress and headache out of their hands, and we can manage the whole thing in getting reviews, replying to the reviews, making sure that you get as many of those Google and Facebook reviews as possible. All right, like I mentioned, you want as many as 5-star reviews. 5 and 4 stars is what you really want, but you want to have a way to manage and respond to the 3-star and below. All right, this is where the response will come. Your response or somebody else's response to a review becomes very, very important. So you need to have a system in play for that. So if you don't already have that in play, I can't stress to you enough how important this reason number 3 is. Really get on top of that. So that's reason number 3 as to why physio practice owners struggle with their online marketing, poor reputation. What's reason number 4 for why physio practice owners struggle with their online marketing? Is they're relying too much on word of mouth. Now, again, what we hear from a lot of our clients is because they may not be as marketing or business savvy as they perhaps should and could be, there is a primary belief thinking that being a great physio or a practitioner is all it takes to grow, right? Now, that's partly true, right? If you're not really good at what you do, you're obviously not going to grow. The bad word of mouth will spread, therefore you're not going to get as much business. And that is true to a certain extent. But relying entirely on being just great at what you do, and if you think that's all it takes for you to grow, that could not be further from the truth, okay? The reason why I say this is in business, all right, and this I had to learn this, again, the hard way, is you could be doing some great work, but if people don't know about it, they are not going to come to you, all right? So you've really got to be visible, present, wherever it needs to be in your area. Not only you're just very good at what you do, but you're very visible. All right, it's very, very important. And what a lot of practice owners tend to do is they rely too much on word of mouth, thinking that this will help them grow. This alone will help them grow. This and other referrals, right? Whether it be doctor surgeries and things like that. All right. I want to say something when it comes to word of mouth. How many times, let's just say, have you gone to a great service? It could be massage, or it could be, I don't know, a restaurant or something like that. Let's just say, all right, like a personalized service. Let's just say, all right, and you tell a friend of yours, all right, but that friend lives in a different area to where you said the business that you visited, and as a result of that, for that friend that you told that you went to this place and it's great, for that friend, it's too far to travel because that word of mouth doesn't really work that well. So word of mouth really depends on, firstly, your local proximity to the people that you're, spreading the word about. If they're too far, it's unlikely they're going to come to you. So that's a very, very important way. So you've got to be really present and really visible in your local area. Very important. All right. So don't rely too much on word of mouth. And the second point of that is not being present on on-demand channels. Now, we covered this earlier on in the previous slide. So on-demand channels are like your search engines, your Google, your Bing, your Yahoo, being present on Google Maps. All right. So when somebody's looking for you online, you've got to be present on there. All right. And unfortunately, if you're relying too much on word of mouth, you can't scale that. All right. You can't really scale that. It's not predictable and scalable. It's not something that you can rely month in, month out to be predictable for you to grow. This is why you need to have other channels to really make sure you're boosting the amount of word of mouth referrals you have as well. So that's reason number 4 as to why physio practice owners struggle with their online marketing. What's reason number 5 why physio practice owners struggle with their online marketing? Is they have a poor inquiry follow-up process. All right. Now, again, this is a big reason why a lot of physio practices tend to leave a lot of new patients on the table. Right? They miss a large amount of new patients because of this particular process. Now, going back to what I said in an earlier slide, right? Your attention's being hacked and pulled in so many directions all the time. If you don't take care, if you don't attend to a new inquiry within 5 minutes, the chances of them going to your competitor or your local competitor massively skyrockets. All right. So you need to really have a process where when somebody makes an inquiry, whether it's a phone call, whether it is a contact us form, send you a text, send you a chat on your website, anything like that, you need to have a process where you follow up with them. You need to have a system where you follow up with them within 5 minutes. All right. Very, very important. Now you might say, yeah, sure, I have that already in play. My receptionists are always calling people, things like that. Phenomenal. But that's phone calls, right? You need to make sure this is happening on all inquiry fronts, not just phone calls, but making sure any emails you get, and like I said, any contact us forms, any chat widgets on your website, any sort of inquiry you get, even a message on your Facebook profile, an Instagram profile, anything like that, you need to make sure you have a follow-up process, automated follow-up process. Again, this is something that we are very, very serious about with our clients. We put all these processes into play, right? So there is no chance of you missing any inquiries. You need to make sure you have that in play as well. And this process and this system, this follow-up system, is even more important after hours, right? Again, like I mentioned, because when there are a lot more physio practices coming, general businesses coming in general, all right? If you don't have a way to get in contact with them very quickly, especially when your reception staff can't call you back after hours, you need to have a process where you are following up with them, all right, through the night, whenever it's required. It's very, very important, all right, because what you want is to convert as many of those inquiries into booked appointments in your diary. And the chances of you doing that, like I mentioned, massively goes down if you don't have a system to follow up your inquiries from all channels, not just phone calls. So that's something that you really need to keep front of mind and really implement as well. So that really covers everything that we need to talk about in terms of why physio practice owners struggle with their online marketing. If you liked all of that, head back to our website, physiomarketing.co. There are some great resources there. There's some checklists there. There's some videos there. There's some systems and processes that you can have a look at and make sure you implement them onto your physio practice as well. Because our mission and our goal is to see 1,000 physio practices triple their revenue. That is our mission, and we are really, really forward about that. So head back to the website. If you have any questions, call us on 1-800-267-877 or email us on us at info@physiomarketing.co. And one more thing I want to mention to you before I leave you with today's episode is if you have a question or something that you want to know more about when it comes to sales and marketing, drop us a line, give us a call on our 1-800 number, or drop us a line on info@physiomarketing.co with what that topic is. We will do a presentation just like this, a podcast and an episode just like this for you, so you can get maximum value out of that and plug it straight into your practice. Until next time, take care.